I want to get to this strategy session. Here's our data collection. You can see pretty clearly here that the kids got better after we implemented TSS. We have the research studies in the white brochure. This is the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. This is the Thomas Jefferson study. You can see 80% success, 79, 78, 76, 76. In other words, these kids got better. 75% minimum showed significant improvement in their behavior within 4 months, and at a 1-year post-treatment level, where they've been involved with treatment for a year, their progress was even better. Our ongoing research shows that the bottom line is this: you can't drive a tack with a toothpick. If a kid needs 5 hours of treatment, give him 5 hours, he's going to get better. If he needs 30 hours of treatment, you give him 5, that's a toothpick, he's going to fail. You can count on it. So if you're an insurance company and you want to make sure you prove that BHRS is a waste of time, keep those prescriptions low. Everybody's going to fail, and you've done a good job. Treatment plans that worked is the source for the 567 treatment plans I told you about. It's a whopping fee of $65. A licensed professional in any state could download that database and start writing meaningful treatment plans for children that will probably work there just like they worked for me for the last 20 years. And it'll be funded by Medicaid under the EPSDT mandate with a little bit of persuading, probably supplied by the Office for Civil Rights. This is the rationale for filing a civil rights complaint. You're obligated as a licensed practitioner of the healing arts to make a complaint about the violation of civil rights once you know it's occurring. And that's how easy it is. You go to the Office for Civil Rights website, you click on File a Complaint, and it just walks you through it. This is some of the stuff from their website that talks about exactly what they do, how they do it. This is some background information about all of the laws that have been passed since the 1960s guaranteeing access to treatment funding by disabled people. This is the actual text of the complaint that I filed. That's the actual form that I filed. And you'll see that I just basically called out the insurance companies for just violating the civil rights of kids because they're not following the state's own definition of what medically necessary treatment is. They're denying that I prescribed a medically necessary treatment, which is utterly not true. A class of children who are entitled to EPSDT funding was certified in February of last year, 2014, in a lawsuit in Illinois. This means that every child who's eligible for EPSDT funding is named in a lawsuit filed there with 3 or 4 named people representing the entire class of kids who are eligible for EPSDT funding. This is the kind of a lawsuit that makes state governments wake up and take notice. More of these need to happen. Pennsylvania had one, had several of them, Lawrence K. in the early 90s, and then most recently Kirk T. in 2004, where they continue to set standards for the access to EPSDT funding. They still have a ways to go, but the point is the momentum is now moving in the direction of saying we can't leave these kids to die at the hands of insurance companies that make money by denying them what they need. This is my strategy section. I'll go through it. The way it works is, at the start of an engagement with an insurance company, they want to control everything. They want you to compromise. They expect you to collaborate. And ultimately, they expect you to capitulate. You're pleading for your kids' needs, and they're trying to reason with you. That's the first stage. Well, let's change that. What you want to do is shift it so that they start pleading and you start reasoning. And the way you do that is you introduce knowledge, facts, and data which force them to capitulate. They're going to counter with knowledge, myths, and lies. They know some of the things, that's true, but they will also inject myths and lies into the equation in an attempt to regain control. If you don't know it's a lie and you talk about it, you're spreading myths. If you know it's a lie, you're a liar. So some of the things the insurance companies know are wrong, but yet they continue to do them. For example, denying an authorization for TSS service unless the kid's violent. Well, since March 18th of 2015, Dennis Marion shot a hole in that argument, and they are still denying that they ever got it. I actually had a fair hearing where they claimed they never got that notice. Are you kidding? I never got the memo? Well, please. Yes, you did. It may not have been circulated to you because, wait a minute, if you don't ever get it, you can honestly claim I never got it, and therefore you can argue in front of a judge for a position that is utterly untenable. So the next thing they do is they delay. The insurance companies can't do anything except delay, and they hope you just lose interest in it, it becomes too burdensome, and they win. So what do you have to do to balance that? You have to then bring in an appeal to higher authority. You don't argue with the state. You go to the Office for Civil Rights. You go to your congressman. You go to your senator, your state representative, your state senator. You start bringing in the heavier artillery. And the next thing you know, the insurance companies talk about money. They're saying you're going to ask for more money than you need, than you deserve, or can use. So it's a money argument. And now the feds say, well, it's Medicaid, and the insurance company's just trying to conserve a little bit of money here. Maybe they're right, and that's when you drop accountability and standards into the mix. I'm not asking for too much. The National Academy of Sciences says 25 is the minimum. American Academy of Pediatrics says 25 is the minimum. That's what I want. I don't want anything exceptional. I want the minimum. And my staff are going to adhere to these, and these standards. They will not be sleeping while they're delivering services to my kid. They're not going to be texting. They're not going to be otherwise distracted. They're going to be fully trained, supervised, and accountable. And their supervisor is going to meet the highest standards for training themselves. And there's a licensed psychologist who's personally involved in the case. So don't tell me I'm not asking for anything reasonable. I'm asking for utterly reasonable things that are accountable and adhere to standards, and that's a winning argument. Thank you for coming today. I appreciate your being here. And any last questions?
Now, you said something about you could go in at 9 o'clock, be diagnosed by 9:30 or whatever that phrase was. How is that possible, especially for people that are being diagnosed with autism when they're saying that it needs to take at least 3 sessions?
You can diagnose a child with autism at the age of 6 weeks. This is Stanley Greenspan. What does a baby do when you cuddle it and you hold it? Hi, how are you? What does the baby do? They look for where that's coming from.
Right.
And when they realize, bang, it's like, you can call it imprinting. It's not, but it's the same kind of a thing. Little babies develop the capacity to reciprocally interact with their parent, their mother especially. If that doesn't develop and it's absent, and you see the kid, now he's 3, and you don't see that, and he's nonverbal, and he's fascinated by reflections of things rather than their function, what more do you need? That took me about, 15 seconds? And that's all it should take any licensed practitioner of the healing arts to say, at least, I'm going to render what's called a rule-out diagnosis. I'm going to render a diagnosis. I think it's autism. I want to rule it out. It's going to take a little more data collection. Everybody sign here. Here's the treatment plan. Let's get started with the data collection. And you start rendering treatment. 3 weeks, 3 months later, you say, yep, I was right after all. It's autism. You don't have to wait 18 months for your holy conference with the lab-coated, tie-wearing expert from some big, prestigious institution. It's a waste of time. You need to get involved in these kids' lives, PDQ, pretty damn quick, to do any good. And there's no reason to wait. Any practitioner in Pennsylvania can do exactly what I'm doing if they feel like it.
Right.
And all they have to do is feel like it. And if they don't feel like it, look for one who might feel like it and tell them to call me. I'll show them how easy it can be done.
Okay.
Thank you.